right here in Austin. What we do is we help teach, support people in making real and lasting change in their lives. We've chosen the area of change related to plant-based transition because we feel there's a real need for it and we can help a lot of people with it. However, all lasting change occurs the same way, which means I can help facilitate change in almost anyone around almost any topic. The net primarily creates the educational aspects and teaches people how they can prepare, cook delicious and healthy plant-based meals. We're both qualified to coach people, but coaching is more my passion, while teaching and training are Lynette's passions. What I do when I coach people is ask thought-provoking questions that help to bring awareness around issues and challenges that they're facing in their lives, which then help I help them to create action steps to help resolve those issues, and then provide ongoing support to help facilitate those action steps which create the change and the resolution. So some of the differences between coaching and counseling or therapy is that counseling involves the client telling the client what to do, and therapists focused on dealing with the past from a diagnostic perspective, while coaching helps people to come up with their own solutions. So if someone needs therapy, coaching is probably not for them because they have to be whole, resourceful, and creative in order to be coached. I find it to be a very effective method for people who are whole, resourceful, and creative because no one knows what works for them better than them. So in coaching, I'm actually a partner with the client in helping them to come up with solutions to their issues. Now, I'd like to ask everyone, since the topic is serendipity, if anyone wants to volunteer what they think of serendipity is to them.
It's like a eureka moment for me, I think. Think from the standpoint of, a mental aspect. I'm working on an issue or a problem or a project or a plan, and I'm trying to find a solution or the best possible way to do it or something, and then just something clicks. It's like, aha, that's it, and the tumbler is falling in place, so to speak. I don't think that's quite what the real dictionary definition of serendipity is, because that seems more like an accident thing, like when something just sort of falls in your lap. So it's like something that would be coming from outside of you, but it sort of feels the same to me in that regard. It's like, perfect, I'm in the right place at the right time.
Awesome. Anybody else? Great. I will share what the dictionary definition is since you brought that up.
Okay.
The faculty or phenomenon of finding valuable or agreeable things not sought for, essentially by accident. So, I personally don't believe in accidents or coincidence. Life has taught me that everything happens for a reason. So therefore, to me, there are no coincidences. So that's what it means to me, and I want to let everyone know how I've taken advantage of that, how I've used it to benefit myself and move forward in my life, and how anyone can do that. So a little bit about myself, just so you know a little background. I was born and raised in New York City. I found myself in sales, which took me all over the country. I decided that I wanted to move somewhere that was more in alignment with who I am spiritually. I knew I wanted to get out of sales and into coaching, but didn't know how I was going to make that happen. I moved to Dallas to see if it would be a good fit, which it wasn't. Or the Dallas area anyway. It's Louisville, which is about 20 minutes northwest of Dallas. It was fine, but it wasn't for me. So I decided to see if Austin would be a better fit, so I came to Austin a few times and to visit, and I fell in love with it. And I'm sure everyone knows why. I decided to visit Austin to look for places to live, and I had never been to a meetup before. So while researching the Austin area, I felt drawn to join one of the vegan meetup groups. One of them was AVVA. So on my first trip down looking for a place to live, I spent the day looking and realized that it was going to be a real challenge to find something. No surprise there. Austin's not the easiest place to find a good place to live, but that's because it's so desirable. So at the end of that day, I saw that there was a meetup happening that night. So I felt compelled to go to the meetup. It wasn't planned, I just felt like I should go. So I decided to go and I went. And when I went there, being my first meetup, I had no idea what to expect. And I went, and an amazing, awesome lady came up to me and introduced herself, and her name was Ellen. And we struck up a conversation that ended up lasting 6 hours. We essentially closed the place down. Our conversation revolved around many topics, including being vegan, spirituality, and coaching. We definitely had things in common. We had lunch the next day, and over the next few weeks, we got to know each other better, and eventually decided that I would move into her place. Going to that meetup not only solved my relocation issue, but it was the beginning of an awesome relationship. Neither of which was expected.
I think that deserves some applause.
That's a happy accident.
That's a perfect example of serendipity. So I knew I wanted to get out of sales and into coaching, but I didn't know how I was going to make that happen either. So after moving to Austin last September, my sales business was suffering, and intuitively I knew that was the universe's way of telling me that it was time for me to start doing what I really was meant to do, which was coaching people. So since Lynette and I both have a passion for living a plant-based lifestyle and for coaching, we decided to start a business together. Lynette had already graduated from a coaching program and helped me find a coaching program that worked for my learning style and my budget. So since we met last August and I moved here in September, I've been able to quit sales, complete my coaching program, and start a business around my passion of helping people. These are just a few ways that I've been able to use serendipity to my benefit. There are too many examples of serendipity that have occurred and continue to occur for me to go into here. What's most important is that by becoming aware of how serendipity is really the universe acting on my behalf, on all of our behalves, I have been able to use that knowledge to attract more of it. So how I do that and how anyone can do it. Excuse me. If you think back on my story, you may notice that what I really did was to let go and allow myself to be guided by opportunities. And now that I think back on it and I look at my life, I've always lived throughout my whole life. I never really was much of a planner or a strategist. I more just kind of fell into things. And most of the time they were really good things. If I did it, trusting my gut, my intuition. I realized that when I tried to think of things too much, try to plan things too much, be too much inside of my head, usually I made decisions that didn't serve me or benefit me. So it took a long time, kind of hard-headed, and it's the old way of doing things that most people are familiar with, is to try to figure things out, think things through. And so I tried that for many years, and it never really got me anywhere. And and over the last couple of years, I've learned and realized that all of the good things that have ever happened to me have been the things that I just took advantage of opportunities that were presented to me and being open to them. So that's serendipitous in how I've lived my life. So I've realized that there are like 5 steps. So there are these 5 steps to being able to take advantage of serendipity and make it work for you. The first step, as people probably realize for any kind of change, is to be willing to change. Now it sounds pretty obvious. If you want things to change, you have to be willing to change. But most people don't. They want to change. They intend to change. But it's not really that simple to just say, I'm going to change, and it's not flipping a switch and tomorrow I'm going to be a different person. Because we don't generally work that way. It's something that needs to be gradually worked on because of the fact that we've been brought up and raised in a certain way, and that is in our subconscious mind. And our subconscious mind controls 90 to 95% of what we do every single day, whether we realize it or not. From the time we wake up in the morning, go to brush our teeth in the morning, brush our teeth in the mirror, to driving to work in the morning, going through our daily work chores and tasks, driving home, and then eating dinner, whatever we do, brushing our teeth before we go to bed, taking a shower. All of these activities, most of them, we do it without really thinking about it. We just kind of do it. You know, we drive to work, our minds are elsewhere. You know, we get from point A to point B. We've done it so many times we don't even have to think about it. That's our subconscious mind kicking in. And so that's what controls most of what we do. So in order to change that, we have to try to change the programming that we've had through our parents, society, peers, media. All of these have had influences on us, and in order to change that, we have to make an effort. It has to be a focused, conscious effort. So that's what change is really all about. Making a focused, conscious effort to do something different so you can get different results, if that's what you desire. So that's step one. Step two is to be patient and gentle with yourself. I know probably, like most people out there, I'm not that patient. I want things yesterday. And I'm also really, or in the past, I'm not talking about now because I've learned different ways, but in the past, I've been pretty rough on myself. I used to be my worst critic. And so over time I learned that doesn't really work, because now I'm just adding to all the things that are going on around me. If I feel like there's negative things going on around me, I'm adding to it. So I'm just piling on it by being my own worst critic. So by being patient and gentle with myself, becoming my own best cheerleader, there's nothing that can get me down. And if nothing can get you down, there's nothing that can stop you. So step three, I learned, was to be present in the moment. And out of all these, I found this is probably the most important and the most challenging. Because we're so used to multitasking, doing things, multiple things at once, never being fully focused on any one thing that you're doing. Or even when we're doing one thing, instead of multiple things, our minds are somewhere else. You know, we're thinking about what happened yesterday, last week, the argument we had, or we're thinking in the future about the bills that need to be paid, or what might happen, things that might occur.
God, yes.
So, by not being fully present in the moment, how can we really truly get 100% results from what we're doing if we're not putting 100% focus in it? So as everyone has learned, you get what you put into life. You know, if you put in 50% focus, guess what you're going to get back? 50% results. So I learned by being fully present in that moment and not thinking about what might happen in the future, what already occurred in the past, neither of which any of us has any control over. All we have control over is what's happening right here, right now. So by being fully present in that moment, that has helped me to be far more effective and happier, because I'm not stressed about what might happen or by what already happened. I'm only in this moment right here. There's nothing stressing me right here. I'm happy. I'm enjoying what I'm doing at this moment, talking to all you wonderful people. So it makes me more effective. I'm fully present. So that's being present in the moment. The other thing, step 4, would be being grateful and appreciative of everything. As everything, as I said before, happens for a reason. Now that may sound counterintuitive. If something that's perceived as negative, you should be appreciative of it. But I've learned that looking back on my life, the things that I have perceived previously as negative, they actually led to something positive. And it was the universe telling me, hey, you don't know what you're doing. we know this is the way you do it. And when I listen to that, it's always been a good thing. So that allows me, by being grateful and appreciative, it allows me to be fully present, and it allows me to not stress anything. And stress, or inappropriate response to stress, is one of the biggest factors in disease and unhappiness in life. So when you're grateful and appreciative, how can you be stressed? You know, they just don't fit in the same, they're two different energies, they don't fit. And being grateful and appreciative also makes you happy because you're glad. And it feels so good to be glad and happy, doesn't it? I mean, who likes being stressed? Anybody here? Nobody likes being stressed. Who likes being happy? Everybody likes being happy. When you're happy, we actually vibrate at higher frequencies. And those higher frequencies are actually going out into the universe. And guess what you attract back? More of those kind of frequencies. But when you're stressed, you vibrate at slower frequencies. When you're depressed, you vibrate at slower frequencies, and it's contracting energy. That's why it doesn't feel good. So if we don't want to feel good, if we want to be happy, we're in control of that. It's our choice. Everything we do is a choice in life. So by being grateful and appreciative, it puts us in that frame of mind, or puts me and it puts others in that frame of mind to be happy. And then attract more of that into our lives. And then finally, the final step that I found, step 5, is to be open and receptive to everything and anything. You never know what form an opportunity is going to take. I went to that meetup just, I don't know why, the universe said I should go. So I said I'm going to go and meet some nice people. But I had no idea. I didn't expect anything. Met her, got my coaching program going, quit the sales I didn't want to do, moved into Austin, great place, and now I have a coaching business. All of just for one thing that I had no expectation of.
And you're speaking to us at this meeting here.
There you go. It's all awesome. That's how I see it. Everything in life to me is awesome. And that's how I've made serendipity work for me, and how I believe anyone can make it work for them. Does anyone here have any stories of how serendipity has affected their lives?
I can tell you the whole story of how I met my wife.
Exactly. Let's hear it. We have to hear it.
I'll give you the real nutshell version. Most of you know Stevie, my wife. She's actually the secretary for the AVVA. But in '96, when I lived in North Carolina, I was in a car accident. And as a direct result of the car accident, I met Stevie online when she was in Houston, because we were both fans of the same band. And then it turned out that we were also both fans of the same college basketball team, which is where I went, the University of North Carolina. And then we found out that we had also both just broken up with our exes. So it's like all of a sudden there were 3 things we had in common that just had nothing to do with each other, really. And years later, after we had met in person and then fallen in love, and she came to North Carolina and we got married and like that, I went back and looked at that summer and everything that happened, and I actually was able to trace back, you know, it's like a falling dominoes. You know, one thing starts the analogy of the flapping butterfly wings. You know, butterfly flaps its wings in South America and a hurricane is created or halfway around the world. I traced it back, the little dominoes fell, to me going and buying a single CD 6 months before the accident even happened. Wow. That started a domino that led to me being in that car accident and then me meeting her. So I don't know if that's specifically the definition of serendipity, but it's certainly the definition of being in the right place at the right time, even though I didn't know it. I had to go through some crap to begin with.
But eventually, you were appreciative and grateful of that.
Oh, extremely. Yeah.
Anybody else want to share a serendipitous story? Anybody?
I'm not going to be the only one.
All right. I met my wife in college, and she was dating my It's hard to explain. She's dating my best friend's other best friend. So like the three of us guys all hung out a lot, and so I always knew she was off limits. And then after she graduated college, they broke it off. She broke it off with this guy, and she needed somewhere to move. And she was friends with my older sister, who's older than me. And my sister's like, why don't you move in with me? So she actually moves back into town, back to where I'm from. Has no connections there whatsoever except my sister. Actually moves into the bedroom I grew up in. And I'm living overseas at the time. And I keep seeing these pictures of her online, and she's like wearing my clothes. I'm like, what is this? And I was like, oh, this is horrible. And I was like, this is ridiculous. So I came and visited, and all of my family loved her. My grandparents loved her. My aunts and uncles loved her. And I was just like, oh, she's like a sister. It's like years go by, I'd call her when I'd meet a girl. I'd be like, I met this girl, she's awesome. You know, and so like just from this like strange event of actually just going to school, meeting this guy, and I was like, oh, well, his girlfriend, of course, you're never going to date a guy's girlfriend. Like, that's not the way it's going to go. It actually turned out to be my roommate at one point in time in life. But being able to like go through these things, and then years later we were like, wait a minute, we're really close friends, and I love your family and your family loves me, and we had never even ever thought about having romantic feelings for each other, and it just kind of happened like that. And kind of in the same way, we look back and I thought, there's all these things that kind of led us in the same direction. You know, that I couldn't have orchestrated any of that. Like, she would have moved into the bedroom I grew up in. You know, just weird stuff like that. You know, so.
And wear your clothes.
Yeah, and wear my clothes. Exactly. I was like, this doesn't work. Something's wrong. So, but it turned out to be great.
That's awesome. So now I'd like to share an example of how Serendipity has helped my business and how it can help everyone's business here. So when I was wanting to get out of sales, I put out to the universe that that's exactly what I wanted to do. Now, I was fortunate enough in the credit card processing business that I was doing. I had built up a monthly residual payment that I get paid no matter whether I work or not. So by having that cushion, that allowed me to take the time to do the coaching program that I did and spend time trying to create this business and thinking of how I would do it. So by putting it out to the universe, but I said, I want to get started as quickly as possible, and how can I do that? So some ideas started coming to me by just being open, by just letting go. Instead of trying to think with the thinking mind, as we all do, figuring things out, I just kind of let it go. I meditated, asked a question, and see what came back to me. So ideas came back to me. One of them was helping people to transition to a plant-based diet or lifestyle, which doesn't necessarily mean being vegan. Ideally, it would be being vegan, but it means introducing more plant-based foods into a person's diet, which is a lot easier for people to do than just going vegan cold turkey from one day to the next. So by doing that gradual transition, I can be more open and help more people. And so when I put that out to the universe, a few days later, Lynette had an appointment with her primary care physician, Dr. Colty, here in Austin. We both have been here only for about a year, so this was her first visit with the doctor. So she goes to the doctor, and her and the doctor start talking about, it's a plant-based doctor. So they start talking about plant-based diets. And instead of her doing her visit, they spent the whole time talking about plant-based diets. And the doctor was so excited because the doctor told her, Lynette, well, I'm looking for someone to coach my patients to transition to a plant-based diet because I can't do it. And Lynette says, guess what? My partner and I are starting that business. So there's serendipitous right there. So now we're getting referrals from Dr. Colty of her patients for the plant-based diet. I just put it out there, and it came back to me. I didn't try to figure this out. It just came to me. So an important key aspect, maybe that's step number 6 or 5.1. Letting go. And just being open and receptive to everything and anything that comes to you. Anybody have any questions? That's about it. Thank you for listening to me.